You know what, Sophia? I just had the most incredible meal last night at that new bistro.
Oh, did you finally get a table? I thought it was fully booked.
Yes, but I almost missed out because I forgot to make a reservation.
Oh, Alex, you know that place is always packed. You have to call ahead.
I know, but once I sat down, it was worth the wait. The atmosphere was just perfect.
Tell me about it. What did you order? Was it worth the hype?
I asked the server to recommend something, and they suggested the house special. It was a beef fillet, and Sophia, it was so tender it practically melted.
That sounds amazing. Did you have any wine?
I did. They had a beautiful red that seemed to go well with the meat.
Well, today we are going to dive into the world of dining.
Exactly. Let us grow our English skills together. Welcome back to the Daily Seed English Podcast. I am Alex.
And I am Sophia. We are so glad to have you with us today as we plant another seed for your English journey.
You know, Sophia, learning a language is a lot like gardening. You start with a small seed of a word, and through practice and care, it grows into a beautiful plant of conversation.
That is exactly right, Alex. Today, we're planting those seeds in a restaurant setting. Imagine each new phrase as a root that helps you stand strong when talking to others.
We're going to nourish your English with some essential phrases for dining out. Whether you're ordering a full meal or just a coffee, these words are the sunlight that helps your fluency grow.
We want to help you feel confident and comfortable in any restaurant, from a casual bistro to a formal dining room.
So let us get our hands in the language dirt and start growing. All right, we're at the restaurant, or at least in our imagination we are. Sophia, let's start right from the very beginning. You walk up to the door, and there's usually a host or hostess at a little stand, right?
That is exactly right, Alex. And the very first thing they'll typically ask you is if you have a table booked for the night.
Exactly. This is when our first key phrase, to make a reservation, is so incredibly important for our listeners to know. It's about planning ahead. You might call the restaurant earlier and say, "Hello, I would like to make a reservation for a party of 4 at 7 o'clock tonight."
Or if you have already done the hard work, you would walk up and say with confidence, "Hi, we have a reservation under the name Alex." It's like your VIP entry to a guaranteed seat at a good table.
Definitely. It's much better than standing in the cold hoping for a miracle seat. Now, once you're seated, the server hands you that big, beautiful menu. It can be a little overwhelming when you see so many options, especially in a new language.
Oh, it really can be. I usually feel a bit of pressure when the server is waiting for me to choose. I always look at the appetizers first to calm my nerves and my stomach.
For our listeners who might be new to this term, let's define it clearly. An appetizer is a small dish of food that you eat before the larger part of the meal arrives. It's meant to stimulate your appetite. In some countries, like the UK, they're often called starters.
Yes, exactly. Think of something light, like a cup of soup, a fresh salad, or maybe some crispy bruschetta. It's just a small start to your dining experience.
But what if everything on that appetizer list looks delicious? You know how I am, Sophia. I can never decide between the garlic bread and the calamari. I want both.
That's when you shouldn't be afraid to talk to your server. They're there to help you. You can simply look at them and ask, "What do you recommend?"
Oh, I love that. It's such a great way to start a friendly conversation with the staff and find those hidden gems that aren't always obvious on the page.
And usually, if they have a dish they're incredibly proud of, they'll point you toward the house special.
Which is the dish the restaurant is most famous for, right? It might even be a family recipe that's been passed down for years.
Exactly. It's often a unique creation for that specific kitchen. If the server says the seafood pasta is our house special today, you're fairly certain it's going to be high quality and very fresh.
Actually, Sophia, I was thinking about how different restaurants can be these days. It's not just about meat and fish anymore. What if you don't eat meat?
That's an excellent point. More and more restaurants are making sure they have at least one or two vegetarian options on every single page of the menu.
That's very helpful to know. You can look for a V symbol next to the dish name, or you can just ask, "Excuse me, do you have any vegetarian options that you recommend?"
Right, it's always better to double check if you have dietary preferences. And once you've picked those small plates to start, you're ready for the big event of the evening, the main course.
The heart of the meal, the star of the show. This is the largest and most substantial dish you'll order. And when you are ordering your main course, like a juicy grilled salmon or a classic chicken breast, you usually want something on the side to balance out the flavors.
Exactly. We call those a side dish. It could be something simple like a side of fries, or maybe some healthy steamed broccoli or a small side salad.
It really helps to customize your meal. For example, you might say to the waiter, "I would like the grilled salmon as my main course, but could I have a side dish of roasted vegetables instead of the potatoes?"
Customizing is key. And if you're ordering meat, oh, Sophia, there is nothing better than when the meat is cooked just right.
You mean when it is tender?
Yes, tender meat is my favorite thing. It means it is soft, juicy, and very easy to chew. It almost feels like it is melting in your mouth because it is so well prepared.
That is the mark of a great chef. If you're eating a steak that is tender and full of flavor, you know you have picked the right place.
Wow, I'm getting hungry just talking about this. But wait, Sophia, what about all those extra forks and knives? That part always makes me a little nervous.
Listeners, we want to hear from you. When you visit a new restaurant, do you usually prefer to stick to what you know, or do you always ask the server to recommend the house special? Let us know your thoughts. Sophia, I think our listeners are getting some great food for thought here. Shall we see if our producer is happy with our progress before we move to the next part?
All right, we're back. The table is set, the appetizers have been cleared, and now we're looking at all the extra equipment on the table.
Oh, you mean the cutlery, Alex?
Yes, I see 3 different forks and 2 spoons. Which one do I use first? It's like a puzzle.
Don't worry, it's actually quite simple. There's a universal rule for formal dining. You work from the outside in.
From the outside in. What does that mean exactly?
It means you should use the fork and knife that are furthest away from your plate first. Those are usually for your appetizer or your salad.
Ah, I see. So as the meal progresses, I just move closer and closer to my plate.
Exactly. From the outside in is the golden rule. No more confusion, no more picking up the wrong fork for your main course.
That is a weight off my chest. Now, what about the drinks?
Well, that's another art form, especially when it comes to matching flavors.
You mean like choosing a wine that is going to go well with the meal?
That's the phrase. We say a drink or a side dish should go well with the main part of the meal. For example, a crisp white wine is a classic choice to go well with a delicate piece of fish.
And a strong red wine usually goes well with meat, right?
You've got it. It's all about balance. A light drink for a light dish and a bold drink for a bold dish.
Like a cold iced tea might go well with a spicy chicken burger.
Exactly, Alex. It doesn't always have to be wine. Any drink can complement your food perfectly.
Okay, so we've eaten our delicious meal, we have followed the etiquette, and we have enjoyed our drinks. Now comes the moment of truth.
The moment when we have to pay.
Yes, how should I ask for that in a polite way?
Well, in most places, you should attract your server's attention and ask for the check.
The check? Is that different from the bill?
Not really. In American English, we usually say the check, while in British English, the bill is more common. They both mean the same thing, the piece of paper that shows exactly how much you owe for your wonderful evening.
Okay, could I have the check, please?
Perfect. And then there's one last thing to consider before you leave the restaurant.
You mean the culture of gratitude?
Yes, in many parts of the world, it's customary to leave a tip for the staff who served you.
To leave a tip, what is the standard amount?
It really depends on where you are, but in North America, for example, people usually leave about 15 to 20% of the total amount.
Oh, that can add up. But I suppose if the service was excellent and the food was tender and delicious, it's worth it.
Exactly. To leave a tip is a way of saying thank you for a job well done. It's a nice gesture to end your meal on a positive note.
Wait, Sophia, what if I'm not sure if the service is included in the check?
That's a great question. Sometimes it is. You can always look for words like service charge on the check. If it's already there, you don't necessarily have to leave a tip on top of it.
That's very helpful. Navigating the finances of a meal can be the most stressful part.
Well, with these phrases, our listeners should be able to navigate it like pros.
Well, that's our table for tonight. We have planted the seeds of restaurant vocabulary, and I cannot wait to see them grow into full conversations for our listeners.
Me too, Alex. Remember, everyone, language is like a garden. It needs constant care and a little bit of sunshine.
And a lot of delicious food.
True. Thank you all for joining us on the Daily Seed English podcast. We hope you feel ready for your next dining adventure.
Until next time, keep practicing and keep growing.
Goodbye for now.